Hi there. I think it's funny to see the parallels between the political process that goes on and a human being going through depression. You know, if you are like coasting along in your life, you're in some kind of blissful ignorance about a lot of stuff. But then when you run into a wall, you're unlucky, or something horrible happens, you might get depressed, and eventually you might get into a depression. And that process is very useful if it doesn't kill you, but you know. It's very useful. What happens is that you basically disintegrate your sense of your reality. It becomes very real. It becomes constantly updated on a very detailed level, which means that you suddenly see everything that's wrong with your life. You suddenly see everything that's going on around the world and wherever you are. It's not packaged and grouped and organized in a way that you can ignore it, because you have started to doubt your ability to successfully ignore things. And but the use of that process is to find a solid ground again in reality, to reassess everything, and then build up a new ignorant part, you know, a new part that you ignore in reality, and then your behavior, which is successful. Well, right now we have political parties that are basically coasting along in a kind of blissful ignorance based on their economical theories and the financial system, and they are not noticing that it's not going well, that things are going wrong in society, or they're not willing to notice, because if you talk about the UK and the riots, they say, well, these rioters are criminals, they are, you know, it's the Polish people that steal our jobs, they don't have any political motivation, it's very weird, it's just all riots. That's true, political motivation. If you consider the parallels, well, the political party is basically, it's a worldview. If you are a member of a political party, and in that worldview everything is organized, has a place, and you're ignorant of lots of stuff, but you know that it works, and you're a group, then suddenly when there's no political party that represents these people, there's basically, you know, they have to, your political party, let's say the governing parties, their program is not working, their sense of reality is not working. The people on the ground that are unhappy, that are ignored, that are basically not given the means to live in an automated society, which they should, that basically are suffering from austerity, which is only intended to hide the fact that the oil is running out and there's no money to, so you make sure that there's no money to buy oil, so nobody notices that the price goes up. If you have the same amount of money in society, people would start noticing, hey, there's not enough fuel. So you're hiding that fact, and you're keeping the banks alive. So society starts, let's say, the whole harmonious, let's say, communication and mutual respect, and the role that everybody sees themselves in, which is the blissful consciousness, starts to disintegrate, and some parts of it start to fall out. These are, of course, individuals with needs, just like political parties have needs. And an individual with need, you don't say that's a political party, but if you have 500 or 4,000 of them, you can, so you, from the detail level of that individual representing their own needs, you start to see that there's a whole group again, and they have the similar needs, and you can reintegrate them by creating a political narrative for them. And now, of course, that's a very dangerous process, because there somebody can stand up and say, we are the rioters, we are the anarchists, we're going to destroy society. And some of these rioters will say, okay, well, what the heck, we're doing this anyway, maybe it's a good way to live, to riot. And that would be a disaster. But there's somebody else that might stand up and says, well, okay, you know, you can't really cut these people off in an automated society based on fossil fuels. That's not fair. You know, the people that are now having all the money, they didn't go out to find the oil. These people that have nothing, they also didn't go out to find oil. They need to have a fair share. And if you don't want to give them a fair share of oil, you have to give them renewables in order so that you know, never have to worry about them again. But you know, you're the political assholes that want to control everything. So you deny yourself a solution for this social problem. You should promote renewables, then these people have energy to live their lives, you know, to power their homes, to power their shops, to do whatever they want. But you're denying it to them. So you're the cause of the problem. Your political positions do not integrate everybody in society. They should, and if they don't, then you see what happens. Society disintegrates. It becomes depressed. And so if somebody stands up to group these people, then they start reintegrating, and you might end up with a better, a more blissful society. Or once again, a blissful mutual consciousness political, let's say, landscape, where you now get the rioters party, which represent 25% of the votes, and which are pro-renewables, so they basically tilt the switch on every decision that is made about financing them, and other stuff. Maybe it gets harder for Polish people to enter the country, so these people have more chance for work. I know it doesn't really matter what the solution is, as long as it's not more destructive than it already is. The criminalization of these people makes it more destructive, and if the people that criminalize them want to make more hay out of it, they'll send them a leader, like you have seen in Spain and the other places where people riot. These people sometimes have leaders that are willfully ignorant of the fact it's a global movement, which has to do with the energy supply, in my opinion, and some other people say it's savers against speculators. It sounds like, so the blissfully ignorant party, the right-wing nuts that are in the EC, European Parliament, and they'd like to kind of not take out the thorn, not take away the pain from these people by finding a solution, but they would like to solve the whole foot, which has the toe, which has a little thorn in it, or a big thorn, I'm not sure. And that, of course, is a disastrous scenario. So if you get military curfew and crush them, that's what they then say, that's what the guy from the European Parliament says, we need to crush them. And you try to crush these people, then, you got a part of your it's like you kind of tie off a finger or something like that. You're creating a problem for yourself, a very serious problem. It's not going to work. It's going to create a lot of jobs for people that try to do the crushing and that try to, let's say, that try to enforce that. And that's going to be a nice industry. And that's, let's say, the gulag scenario that Max Kaiser is talking about, which is simply not trying to find a solution for the energy crisis. That would be very, very sad and very shocking. And it's actually a very real scenario. The problem that I see at the moment is that if your whole strategy is to invent crises and then exploit them, and you know how you're going to exploit them, so you have positioned yourself beforehand to, you have like the weak people on the side that should take the tough decisions, and the strong people, your people on the other side, and you basically, it's like an avalanche that. And you have put fences here and there, and you know where it's going to fall, everything. And you just pushing the snow down the hill, try to get it going. It's a very worrisome thing. And the more stuff or events are similar to a crisis, the more people are willing to to trust somebody based on very little. Basically only based on the fact that they take a strong opinion, they have a strong view, which seems to clean up a lot of the problems. So yeah, you're not allowed to break in windows, and you're not allowed to burn houses and destroy livelihoods and all that stuff. That's true. But what are you going to do if you are not? I guess if you're physically, individually suffering from the situation, what are you going to do? And then, so that's I think the way I view it. Maybe it's interesting. I think it's you could say a country is going through the consciousness of a country is going through depression, which means that it has to acknowledge the details of reality and reintegrate them into a new plan, a new behavior. Which in my view should include renewables in order to alleviate the financial pain of these social groups. And if it tries to basically kill the thought you know how successful that usually is. If you try to kill a thought, you try to kill. It's like, the harder you try, the harder it becomes to basically remove. You have to integrate it, you have to accept it, you have to put it in a place, reason with it, and then it's, you know, and then you can function again. So I thought it was comical. I think that I really hope that there's some resolution, and I really hope there's not some kind of right-wing not how do you call that, emissary coming from these groups in order to create a more malign, violent movement out of the members of the current movement that are a little bit criminal, and criminals that aren't in the movement but that see an opportunity in being the opposite party.